Good evening. Welcome to the regular monthly meeting of the Board of Commissioners held for the purpose of transacting the general business of the Township. Today's date is August 8, 2018. The meeting is being held in the Springfield Township building. Please stand and join the Board of Commissioners in a moment of silent reflection, honoring the servicemen and women who've placed themselves in harm's way in order to help preserve our safety. Thank you. Please remain standing and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this point, I would entertain a motion dispensing with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting as written and recorded in the official minute book of the Township.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. The board is in full complement tonight. We have our alternate solicitor, Andy Freemuth of Whistler-Pearlstein, sitting on my left, substituting for James Garrity. The Board of Commissioners conducted an executive session meeting on August 6th, following the regularly scheduled workshop meeting on that date to discuss two matters of potential litigation. And we also, the very last topic we covered in there was an executive session. So we just had a very brief executive session on a similar litigation matter. Now we'll move into public comment. The board is now open to comments or questions from the public. The board draws particular attention to those items listed on the agenda this evening. Please be advised that once the committee reports begin, the board can no longer accept questions from the floor. At the conclusion of the committee reports, public comments will once again be accepted. However, official action on those issues listed on the agenda will have already taken place. Therefore, if you wish to comment on an agenda item, now would be the appropriate time. Do we have any public comment? Going once? Okay. We'll move into the committee reports, and we'll start with myself, the chairman of the Internal Affairs and Zoning Committee. We'll go to item 1 on the agenda, the bill listing. I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the July check reconciliation in the amount of $435,210.94 and the August bill listing in the amount of $1,062,191.21. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. The next meeting of the Zoning Hearing Board will be held on Monday, August 27th at 7:00 p.m. in the Springfield Township building. And the agenda, we have two items on the agenda. The first one is Carolyn C.C. Tyler of 514 Auburn Avenue in Winmore wants to reduce aggregate side yard setback from 35 foot to 29 foot in order to construct a one-story addition to a home located in the A Residence District. The second is Aaron Stemplowitz of 827 East Southampton, Winmore, is proposing to accumulate his property with the neighboring property at 823 East Southampton to form one lot. The existing dwelling at 823 would be demolished, and an addition to the dwelling at 827 would be constructed, which would require a variance for aggregate side yard setback to reduce from 20 feet to 12 feet 9 inches. Both properties are located in the D Residence District. Last month, we heard from the Luke Oil Station in Erdenheim, who were trying to reconfigure their signs. That was tabled, and they will be coming back, but they're not coming back. That was continued. That will not be coming back at this point, so we will get proper notice when that happens. So that has not been adjudicated. That is the zoning report. And now moving along to the third item, the zoning code amendment. I move that the Board of Commissioners authorize the advertisement and submission to the Township and County Planning Commissions of a draft zoning code amendment, amending the non-conforming uses section of the zoning code. The principal objective of the amendment is to permit modifications to non-conforming uses within buildings and on properties with less intense uses, requiring a special exception approval from the Zoning Hearing Board. Currently, the zoning code permits an existing non-conforming use to be replaced with any use within a more restricted zoning district classification. Unfortunately, at times, specific uses within a more restrictive zoning district classification may actually be more onerous to the surrounding community than the previous use. The amendment will now examine the specific use rather than a class of uses, with the evaluation being performed by the Zoning Hearing Board. I'll explain that in a second in English. But there's a motion in there. Do we have a second? We need a second. Thank you. And then what this has to do with is grandfathering is when there's been a change in the zoning, or in fact, zoning may not have existed when you started using a property in a certain way. When that changes, so you're in there doing something you're not allowed to do, but you were there first. When that changes to a different use, as long as it's a similar or less restrictive use, you can keep doing it. The way it's currently written, it was lumping things in classifications, and you might have something that's the least restrictive use in the classification, and you're replacing it with something that's much more intrusive on the neighbors. So rather than worry about where things fall in that continuum, and in fact, the one that's just hit us on, it was even the next classification was something that seemed more intrusive. So this turns that, rather than looking at how we have lumped things, it lets the zoning board look at it and make a determination, hear from the neighbors, understand what's going on, and determine whether it will be more intrusive on the neighbors or not, and the grandfathering would follow that. So it's leading us to hopefully a much more logical outcome. Are there any other questions or comments? So we're now, and this is the next step because it's difficult to amend the zoning code. We are now going to advertise it and submit it to the Township and County Planning Commissions. That's the next step here. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. So you'll be hearing more on that in a few months. Next is resolution number 1454. It has to do with our pension. Each year, the Board of Commissioners is required to adopt pension fund minimum municipal obligations, pledging the proper funding of the township pension plans. An important factor in establishing the minimum municipal obligations is the assumed rate of return on investments of the existing assets of the pension fund. While a higher assumed rate of return on investments helps offset immediate contributions from the township to the pension plans, to the extent the assumed rate of return is not achieved, an actuarial loss to the pension plan is recorded and must eventually be paid back over time. Therefore, setting the assumed rate of return on investments as close to the historic trends of actual rates of return on investments, the better for township in the long term. Therefore, I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt resolution number 1454, a resolution authorizing and directing the Springfield Township Pension Fund Actuary to utilize an assumed rate of return of investments of 6 75/100% for all township-defined benefit pension plans, commencing with the 2019 actuarial valuation reports and the 2020 minimum municipal obligation certificates. The current assumed rate is 7%, which was reduced from 8% several years ago. That is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And then let me just reiterate, what we're doing here is we're being more conservative. As you play with those numbers, if you assume a really high rate of return, then you need to save less money to make sure people are paid down the road. But if that number's unrealistically high, then you get hit with a 2x4 in 10, 20 years because you have unfunded pension. And there's plenty of math and there's plenty of understanding. And that's why we went from 8 to 7%. It makes us pay a little more now, but it makes the township healthier down the road. And this is, we're able to go from 7 to 6 3/4, which puts us really in an exemplary position because the market's done well since we moved to all index funds a couple years ago. We've outperformed just about everybody, and we are lucky to be in this position, and we're trying to act conservatively and responsibly to make sure that people get their pensions that they've earned. Any questions or comments from the board? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote. That concludes my report, and now we will move to the Chairman of the Public Works and Facilities Committee, Commissioner Sham.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two items this evening. First, in 2000, the Board of Commissioners purchased a 2.4-acre tract of land adjacent to the Bethlehem Pike Bridge over the Sunnybrook Creek. The township purchased the property to improve stormwater flow within the creek, thereby reducing the flooding upstream. That work has been completed. There's no further need for the Springfield Township to own the subject property. The property is known as Lot 22, Block 61, White Marsh Township. Therefore, I move the Board of Commissioners authorize the sale of the subject property pursuant to the requirements set forth in the Pennsylvania First Class Township Code. That's my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
If anyone's curious where the piece of property is, it's at where the Jiffy Lube and the shopping center crosses over to Montgomery Animal Hospital. It's right in that area right there. Secondly, in February 2018, White Marsh Township, on behalf of Montgomery County Consortium of Communities, bid a roadway microsurface treatment contract. Springfield Township once again participated in the consortium bid for the project. The low bid was received from Asphalt Paving Systems of Hamilton, New Jersey. Therefore, I move the Board of Commissioners award a contract to Asphalt Paving Systems, Incorporated, to provide crack seal and a double application of Type A microsurface roadway treatment to 2 specified township streets for their bid price of $3.75 per square yard, or $39,563 for the microsurface treatment and $2,849 for the crack seal application. That's my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Sham. We move to the Chairman of the Community Development Committee, Commissioner Standish.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 3 motions tonight, all of which involve different real estate projects. So the first is the land development Sandy Run Country Club. Sandy Run Country Club at 200 East Valley Green Road has proposed to expand their existing parking area in order to secure 29 additional off-street parking spaces. The site of the additional parking is directly adjacent to their existing parking lot and main entrance driveway. As a part of the planned improvements, the Country Club will also install a stormwater BMP-sized approximately 3 times what is required in order to help address stormwater runoff from the existing parking lot. The Office of the Township Engineer and the Springfield Township Planning Commission reviewed the proposal and both recommended that the Board of Commissioners consider waiving the formal land development review process for the proposal. Therefore, I move that in compliance with Section 512.1 of the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, the Board of Commissioners waive the formal land development plan review process for the parking lot expansion at the Sandy Run Country Club, 200 East Valley Green Road in Orland. The waiver is conditioned upon the applicant performing the improvements pursuant to a plan entitled Land Development Waiver Plan Set, prepared by Sheeran Environmental Design Company, Inc., dated May 17, 2018, and last revised July 10, 2018, and a drainage and water quality report prepared by Sheeran Environmental Design Company, Inc., dated May 17, 2018, and last revised July 10, 2018. In addition, the Country Club shall resolve all matters as outlined in a letter dated July 13, 2018, from the Office of the Township Engineer to the Township Zoning Officer. And that is my motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? I want to just reiterate one thing that he said. When you do an improvement like this, you are required to make sure that the stormwater is caught, because stormwater runoff is one of our biggest and broadest problems. That you are required to do 100% remediation, because it's kind of a do no harm standard. And Commissioner Wilson was asking, well, aren't they doing more? What are they doing? So we calculated they're actually doing, instead of 100% remediation, 300% remediation. Now, it's a small project, but even so, they're doing 3 times what they have to do. And we appreciate that they're being good citizens. That will help a little bit. Every little bit helps. When they're doing 300, I wish it were a bigger project. We'd be actually be
Yeah.
making a bigger dent. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Okay, and next, concerning the Laverock land development. The Laverock development is located at 1797 East Willow Grove Avenue, Winmore, and is also known as a Hanson Lloyd property. The equitable owner are KB Newbold Lane LLC, Thomas Kessler principal. The parcel contains 32 acres of land, of which 3.26 acres are steep slopes. The equitable owner proposes to subdivide the tract into 32 residential lots for a single-family dwelling development. Therefore, I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the preliminary final subdivision and land development plan entitled Laverock Springfield, prepared for KB Newbold Land LLC by Hibel Engineering Company LLC, dated October 13th, 2017, last revised June 1st, 2018, which consists of a set of 43 plan sheets and a post-construction stormwater management report prepared by Hibel Engineering Company, LLC, dated October 2017, last revised May 2018. The plan approval includes the following waivers or partial waivers from the subdivision of land ordinance. Number 1, Section 95-6, to allow alteration of the plan scale from 1 inch equals 100 feet to 1 inch equals 50 feet. Number 2, Section 95-11.d2, to allow lot lines to deviate from substantially perpendicular alignment on 10 lots. Number 3, Section 95-11.e to D, to allow more than 25% of the recreational area to have slopes exceeding 8%. Number 4, Section 95-11.I11C, to allow reduction in the required tree replacement from 984 replacement trees to 842 trees. Number 5, Section 95-11.I1, to allow existing vegetation supplemented by new plantings to be used in softening buffers, provided the applicant provides a landscape plan to be approved and inspected by the township with regard to utilization of existing vegetation. The plan shall be prepared by an ISA-certified arborist. The plan approval is also subject to the conditioned upon all matters in a letter dated July 2nd, 2018, from the Office of the Township Engineer to the Code Enforcement Officer, being resolved to the satisfaction of the Board of Commissioners, a recreational multi-purpose trail easement being granted to Montgomery County with an easement width of a minimum of 15 feet where physically possible, and the construction by the applicant of a paved macadam recreational multi-purpose trail with a width of 10 feet to the satisfaction of the Board of Commissioners. The subdivision land development plan shall not be recorded, nor any permits issued by Springfield Township until all conditions may be a part of the approval are met to the satisfaction of the Board of Commissioners. And that is my motion.
Okay, we have one typo correction. The number of trees is not 842, it's 482, and that's not your fault, because you read what we
Right.
gave you. But that's your...
So it's 984 to 482, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have two comments. One, I want to highlight what's happened with this trail. There's been a lot of talk with the trail. We have trail people here tonight. The final agreement on the trail is that the full 10-foot width will be constructed from the get-go, so we don't have to deal with doing it down the road. And so I thank the developer for agreeing to that. And on a broader standpoint, I just want to point out that this is a 32-home development, and in my 13 years, I don't think we've ever had one where they come to us where they are entitled to do 32 homes. They didn't come and ask for 60 or 80 or 100. Mr. Kessler came and said, I wanted to do 32. And it's like, what? And so I appreciate that. The neighbors, that's why we've had no broad neighbor opposition or anything, or because I think we've taught the neighbors that you may have a beautiful farm next door, but they have a certain amount of rights, and they don't have more than those rights, but they also don't have less. So it's nice when it works that way. And it's just been a good negotiation as we work on some of these finer points. So I thank you, Mr. Kessler, for that, and it'd be nice if the next one actually wanted to come in and follow the zoning. It just makes it easier for everybody, and we're a happier community. So we wish you well on that. I do recognize that we haven't voted yet. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I've got a quick comment.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I just wanted to publicly thank the developer, Mr. Kessler, as well, particularly with regards to this trail. We weren't where we are today a month ago, and he really was extremely willing to work with the county and work with this board, and really that is very much grateful. So I really, really do appreciate that. And do our procedures allow to hear from the county either now or in the second public open statement?
It would be appropriate in the second public statement unless you have a question that's relevant to your vote.
No, I know that there was discussion going on even up till this afternoon, and I just wanted to hear from the county if everything is sort of agreeable on your end as far as the negotiations went, or if there's still sort of some outstanding pieces.
Do you want to hear now?
Yeah, go ahead. The way he phrased it made it acceptable.
Correct.
Can you tell us who you are, Henry?
Sorry.
The
Hi, my name is
camera's
Henry
back
Stroud.
there,
I'm the Trail Program Manager for the Montgomery County Planning Commission. First and foremost, I just want to thank the Board of Supervisors of Springfield Township for supporting the development of the Gresham Trail. We think it's going to be a great resource, and we're really excited to see this trail built. So thank you for making that, both the trail and the easement with the county, a condition of this land development. We sincerely appreciate that. With regards to our negotiations, we still have not finalized an easement plan. Yesterday afternoon, I provided a draft easement plan, which I then sent to the engineer and to Mr. Kessler. They then returned a plan that was slightly different and missed a certain key element, which I commented on today, particularly for the easement along the eastern frontage of the property, and ensuring it's paramount for the county that we ensure that trail easement be coincidental with the property line, because that will allow us to connect into any adjacent properties if they ever come up for development, particularly the property that's located in Cheltenham Township. So we're still working with that, and we feel like we can work through that. In terms of design for the trail, I had said as much on Monday, but the county still does have some concerns about the tight turning in radiuses that are shown on the trail that's currently on the plan set. They did, in their easement plan, take my advice and show a wider easement for those turning areas, which theoretically would allow the county to come back and widen the trail width at those turns in order to create a safe condition. I've sent this in an email to Mr. Berger, and through all my correspondence with the developer, is that one of the things that the county is going to need to see before we're able to finalize the easement and have our solicitor's office sign off on it is a grading plan that shows the area that's going to be graded for the trail, so we can evaluate that to make sure that it at least conforms to a minimum standard, particularly in regards to these areas with the turning radiuses that don't meet the AASHTO trail design standards, to allow us to take that on. But through my communications with Mr. Kessler, I'm hopeful and confident we'll be able to reach an amenable solution. So we're not there yet, but we're getting there.
Great.
So.
Thank you, Henry.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment. I too would like to thank Mr. Kessler not only for his work with the Crescent Valley Trail, but also his willingness to live up to the commitments of the prior developer with our residents. That is something that from a developer in our ward, we have not had that kind of cooperation. So I just also would like to thank you for your willingness to not only work with the county and the township on the trail, but also to work with our residents that are going to be affected. Thank you.
Great. Any other comments? Okay, there being none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, saying nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Okay, then finally, concerning the Axelrod subdivision. The Axelrod MPD of Philadelphia LP subdivision and land development plan is located at 241 Northwestern Avenue, Philadelphia. The subject of the subdivision and land development plan is a two-lot residential development proposal. I move that the Board of Commissioners accept a letter dated August 6, 2018 from D. Alexander Tweedy, P.E., Project Manager of Land Corps Engineering Consultants, extending the 90-day subdivision and land development plan review period without limitation as to time in order that the applicant may revise the plans for compliance with the Springfield Township Code. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
And that concludes my report for this evening.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Standish. We move to the Chairman of the Cultural and Environmental Resources Committee, Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have two reports this evening. First is the recycling report. During the month of July 2018, Springfield Township residents recycled 167.5 tons of materials with a householder participation rate of 75.3%. The net cost for the month was $18,440. My second report is regarding mosquito control. The Montgomery County Department of Health monitors mosquito species and population densities of mosquitoes that may carry the West Nile virus. In consultation with the PADEP, the county will conduct an adulticide spraying in portions of Orland on August the 14th, 2018, rain date of August 21, 2018. The subject area is bounded by East Valley Green Road to Stenton Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue to Church Road. The adulticide spray is DEET. The application will begin at approximately 8 p.m. and end at 11:30 p.m. Persons registered on the pesticide hypersensitivity registration will be notified by the county health department. Frequently asked questions will be posted on the township's website, and more information is available at www.montco.org/WNVIFO. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. We move to the Chairman of the Parks and Recreation Resources Committee, Commissioner Graham.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one motion that I have to announce this evening. It's concerning the drinking water concerns that have been affecting some of our residents in Springfield Township. Last evening, August the 7th, Commissioner Wilson, the Township Manager, Assistant Township Manager, and I attended a meeting hosted by State Representative Stephen McCarter at the Cheltenham Township High School to learn more about the PFOAs and PFOS's contaminants of the North Hills water supply well that serves a portion of Ward 7 in Springfield Township, as well as portions of Cheltenham, Abington, and Upper Dublin Townships, and the borough of Jenkintown. The area in Springfield Township can generally be described as the area between Paper Mill Road and the boundary lines with the Cheltenham Township from Church Road to Mount Carmel Avenue. Due to the contaminants of the drinking water wells adjacent to the Willow Grove air stations and the communities of Horsham and Warrington Townships, Aqua PA has been monitoring the PFOAs and PFOS levels in the area drinking water wells. The U.S. EPA has established a guideline or advisory that the contaminants should not exceed more than 70 parts per trillion. Aqua PA found that the contaminant levels in the North Hill drinking well water was averaging in the mid to high 40s per trillion and voluntarily closed the well. Areas previously served by the North Hills wells are now being served by the Abington well, which the PFOAs and PFOS's levels of 11.1 parts per trillion. Aqua PA outlined the PFOAs and PFOS levels in other portions of the township to include, number one, Winmore, service to the Neshaminy, Flowertown, and Orland wells with a level of 24 parts per trillion. 2, Flowertown and Erdenheim, serviced by the Flowertown and Orland wells, 7.8 parts per trillion, and 3, Orland, serviced by the Orland wells, 6.5 parts per trillion. Aqua PA is willing and able to establish purification systems at their wells, but need either the Commonwealth or federal government to establish a firm standard, not a guideline, for the safe levels of PFOAs and PFOSs that may be present in the drinking water. My comment as an invited speaker at the meeting were not on the technical aspect or the contaminants, but my firm belief that our extended community must be as vigilant as a unified party to bring pressure upon our state and federally elected officials to establish safe drinking water standards in order that the providers of our drinking water may achieve those standards to assure our community that our water is safe. With that in mind, I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt Resolution Number 1455 in support of Pennsylvania House Bill 705, a bill that sets the PFOAs and PFOS's maximum containment level at 5 parts per trillion throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That is my motion, Mr. President.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? This was not on the agenda because it's a fast-moving thing, but we're trying to support the bill, which will benefit us all.
I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
President. So, number one, it was a very well-attended meeting last night. I would guess there were probably over 300 people there, wouldn't you think? Yeah. And we had representatives from Aqua. We had the representatives from the EPA and the DEP, along with some medical people, and it was a broad-ranging discussion of the impacts here. One thing one thing that I came away with was that for Springfield, with the closure of the North Hills well, the impact or the danger in the drinking water here is very, very low. One of the chemists or engineers last night talked about what 1 part trillion really is, and apparently it's equivalent to a grain of sand in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. The other fairly important discussion that they had was, well, can you protect yourself? How do you protect yourself from this contaminant? And individual households can do the same thing that the water company is about to do. And that's basically either install some kind of a filtering device on your water system or at your tap water, or buy any commercial brands that use activated charcoal to clarify the water. And in fact, my wife pointed out to me that we had just purchased a relatively brand new refrigerator that had a screw-in charcoal activated filter, which should greatly reduce the levels of this contaminant in your drinking water. So there was also a website that was recommended that the water company pointed to, and that for additional information, and it's a very, very good website. It's very interactive. You can go and you can look at the wells, you can look at the monitoring levels for a number of years, the level of contaminants in your well. So that was www.waterfacts.com, and that is sponsored by Aqua. So those are just my other comments. So thank you.
I agree. I think the fundamental purpose that we should be, that this bill is so important, is that constitutionally the government is demanded that all of its citizens should have clean air and clean water. As the technology of this is still being discovered. The technology is not keeping up with the amount of contaminants that are going through our water system. So therefore, even though we are requesting into this House bill a required EPA legislation that it should be 5 points per trillion, I personally think that it should be down to 0. So even though this is a step in the right directions, hopefully the technology will be able to, as it expands and improves, it will be able to get it to this point. But until this time, as Pete so eloquently stated, this bill is very important to pass. Those are my comments.
Thank you.
Comments. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have a question.
Sure, Glenn.
I wasn't able to attend the meeting. Did they mention anything about home testing for these contaminants? Is there a home testing component to this, or does it have to be tested through the water company?
It is being tested through the water company, and if you were the Aqua PA has on that the WW facts sheet that Pete just mentioned, that if you put in your area and your address, you will be able to see what your contaminant levels are. They are well below within the EPA limits right now. But if you were to go in and put your address in there, you will be able to see what your contaminant levels, and they stated that they will update that weekly.
Okay. But to your knowledge, no residential testing?
They're not talking about it at this point in time, because the source is the source. It's not picking up additional contaminants on the way to your house, Glenn. So, if the well tested at 20 or 15 or 12 or 7,
And if you wanted
that's
to
what's
test
coming to
your
your
own,
house.
yeah, I suspect if you were talking parts per trillion, I think that's probably a pretty expensive test.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that would be
I
it.
didn't know whether they had referenced that or
But
not.
I don't know the answer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The recommendations we're giving that home filtration, charcoal filtration systems, that would probably be a best bet for our homeowners to try and get all of the contaminants out of their water. However, they did state that those Brita pitcher filters and the small filters where you pour the water in from your tap, they're not really that effective. The only thing that is really effective is the home filtration systems, charcoal-based filter systems. And I will add that they're a little bit expensive. I think they average between $2,500 to $3,000 per home.
Unless you buy a new refrigerator, which comes with it.
Okay, do we have any other
Clean up the water.
questions or comments? This is
A lot of money
very
on British
educational.
filters, I guess.
Okay, we are ready to vote. All in favor, this is of sending the letter. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Were you going to, excuse me, Mr. President?
Sure.
Were you going?
Oh, yeah, do you want to,
Yes.
Why don't I just give
as
you the
part-
floor for that?
Yes, I wanted to introduce two members of our community. Would you come up, guys? These guys are from Troop 320.
stand by the mic and kind of face the camera.
Yeah.
We want everybody to see the good-looking people. The others don't care about that. Yeah. Perfect. See, they know their angles. Go ahead, Eddie.
Go ahead, you guys. You're gonna.
So we're working on our Eagle Scout, and part of that is to earn merit badges. And some of the requirements for the merit badges are to talk to commissioners and that type of stuff about issues in our community. And me and Alex chose to talk to Mr. Graham about the construction, the ADA improvements going on in McKelvey Park in Orland. So that was for one of the merit badges. And then we're also here tonight to listen to the board meeting and discuss opinions that are given on one issue. And it's great that Mr. Graham's so nice to us to help us on our way to Eagle.
And tell us who you are and where you go to school.
We both attend Springfield Township High School. I'm going to be a freshman. He's going to be a sophomore. I'm Josh Robinson.
I'm Alex Bonacci.
So, thank you.
Great. Do we have any questions from the board? Little applause. Any questions from the board while we have them in the hot seat? Okay, well, thank you
I'm not
very
gonna put him in
much.
the
I
hot
hope-
seat, but I had the great pleasure and honor of helping Josh to obtain his merit badge for citizenship in the community. He had some very astute and very well-pointed comments to be made to the ADA requirements that Springfield requires for our park. I'm just impressed with both of these young men. It's just an example of a great institution that scouting is. I, too, was a scout a couple of years ago. I'm not going to go back that long, but I am proud to introduce and to work with these young men. Thank you, guys.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And does that conclude your report?
That concludes
Great.
my report, Mr. President.
Thank you. We move to the co-chairman of the Public Safety Committee, Commissioner Maxwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Several items this evening. First is Community Ambulance Association of Ambler. I move that the Board of Commissioners appoint Gail Irwin of Orland to represent Springfield Township on the Board of Directors of the Community Ambulance Association of Ambler. Ms. Irwin was a registered nurse for 35 years, working in emergency medicine and pre-hospital care. She also volunteered as a member of the Springfield Ambulance Association and was later elected to serve on the Board of Directors of the Springfield Ambulance Association. Ms. Irwin will serve to represent Springfield Township until the Board of Commissioners appoints her successor. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote, and thank you, Gail, for being willing to do that. Go ahead, Mike.
Next item is the fireworks display. I move that the Board of Commissioners waive portions of Section 3303.1, Section 12 of the Springfield Township Fire Prevention Code in order that the North Hills Country Club, 99 Station Avenue, North Hills may conduct a fireworks display on Sunday evening, September 2nd, 2018. Permission is granted to North Hills Country Club conditioned upon the following. 1, North Hills Country Club and their pyrotechnical firm shall add Springfield Township as an additional insured on their certificates of insurance for the event. And 2, the pyrotechnical firm and the North Hills Country Club shall work closely with the Township Fire Marshal to help prevent an accident and create a plan of action in the event an accident does occur during this activity. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Next item is a handicap parking space. I move that the Board of Commissioners amend the Springfield Township Code, Section 107-35, Schedule 12, Special Purpose Parking Zones, in order to establish a handicap parking space on the south side of New Street from a point 33 feet from its intersection with Pleasant Avenue to a point 55 feet thereof. That is my motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Please record a unanimous vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Maxwell. Finally, I call on the Chairman of the Library Committee, Commissioner Cobb.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do have one comment on the summation of the library summer programs. The library summer reading program for children is wrapping up, and 492 children participated in the reading program. The library also hosted 70 children's events with an attendance of 2,603 children. Beyond the daily activities for adults at the library, 10 adult programs were conducted with an attendance of 204 individuals. And the teens of Springfield participated in 6 special programs with 158 attendees, again, continuing the really record use of our new library building. Thank you, Mr. President. That's my report.
The numbers were never that big when I was a library leader. So, I don't know if it's the building or your charisma, but that's great. That concludes all of our committee reports. We are open for any public comment at this point. Anybody? 1, 2, 3. There being none, I will accept. Do you want to? You just need to come and say your name and address and stand up, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie Carl. I live in Wynmore. Just like to express my appreciation to the board for their support and all the parties involved in helping move forward this start of the Gresham Trail. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There being no further, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Good evening. Welcome to the regular